Hey there everybody, this is Brett from Brett Killins Pro Gaming and Reviews here for another review for you guys, and this time we have the Marvel's Avengers game by Square Enix. So this is a pretty cool game. I got to enjoy this pretty early on, got it on day one, and straight away you were treated to some new actors, which I thought, first of all, how can they fill in these shoes? Obviously some big roles to fill here, but the actors did really well in it. You got used to them very quickly, and their synergy between each other felt just like the movies as well, which I thought was just a nice little bonus on top of an already pretty exciting game. Straight away you're treated to an absolutely visual masterclass. Everything is blowing up, going on in the background. Even after the tutorial level, almost every level that you do, there is a lot of bright flashy colors, explosions, everything going on all the time. And they've done a really good job of making every fight seem pretty damn epic as you go along. That mixed in with a few little chase scenes and several missions in the game that kind of really amplify these effects. So the first thing I want to talk about is Carmella, who is Miss Marvel. She's the main character of this game. And 5 years into the future, after the Avengers failed in a mission and people started to get poisoned and turned into Inhumans, Carmella is out on a journey to try and get the Avengers back together again. Carmella's journey will be a hard one though, as over the 5 years the Avengers have all radically changed and it's up to her to bring them all together again. Straight away you're chucked into the hub, which is the Avengers Mobile, the big flying spaceship thing, and as soon as you're in there, that is your hub for the rest of the journey. From here you can use your mission select, change your characters, and do a bunch of things like buy different gear and so on. The main thing about this game is that it is all level based. Square Enix have definitely put their RPG mark on the game, and everything is based on gear level. So every character has different sorts of gear and equipment that they can put on themselves, and you are constantly going through this stuff like no tomorrow. You are changing this almost every mission just so you can get those few extra levels, so you've got that level cap to catch up to the bad guys that are sometimes a little bit harder than they should be. Not only is there a gear level associated with everything that you pick up in the game, but there is also a main level as well. And for every level that you gain, you get skill points for your character, which can be put into 3 different trees. And there is a lot of stuff that you can do with every character, which is absolutely awesome. So it really mixes and matches to your playstyle. But the real question is, once you've got all these things, how does it perform? And the Avengers doesn't really let you down when it comes to the masterful combat in this game. There are so many little things you can do with each character that are fun. You can link them together with other characters, and it just generally feels like you are an Avenger when you're fighting in this game. Every time I thought that the game was getting a little bit stale with enemies, some new enemy came out, or you had the ability to add one more person to your party, so then there's just even more spastic shit going on as you're fighting people out in the open in this game. Unfortunately for us though, the campaign mode is only so long, and once you've beaten the campaign, the game takes an unfortunate stale turn. Almost every level that you've been in gets rinsed and repeated and used again and again for side missions that are located in your hub as well, and the only option that you have from there on is to do harder side missions or potentially join up with people online. And on the online mode, it is very, very hard to notice where people are half the time, where your teammates are, and there's also a slight delay in your attacks, which can mean that you get downed a lot without even realizing it. Regardless of this, it does have its fun moments. There's a lot of things in Avengers that tie together nicely, but I feel like this is the first of a series of games where they're just going to keep improving upon the actual gameplay itself. Once you've unlocked all the characters, it can be quite fun to go through several missions as each of them and kind of learn their playstyles, but when you realise the amount of grinding that you need to do to actually get them to levels to unlock new abilities, do all the crazy things and really experiment, to me it just didn't really seem like it was worth it. I stuck with my main the whole time, which was Iron Man, just because I liked the ability to be able to fly whenever I wanted, plus I liked his cool spinny movement system for shooting his ray blasts. But as I said, every single one of them have their unique abilities and are very fun to play for the first few times you give them a crack until you really find the playstyle that you enjoy the most. Unfortunately, this is as far as Avengers goes. It doesn't really stretch into any kind of deep territory of it being a wonderful masterclass of anything. It's just mindless fun. And I think that was what they were aiming for when they made this game. It's not exactly a bad thing, but I can't really give it a high score based on what has been showed in front of me. Several amounts of glitches that I experienced through the games, from when you're flying, the camera suddenly doing 360s so fast that it almost gave me a seizure, to just randomly shivering my character while I'm standing in the hub. There's a few little things that clearly need to be fixed in the game. While combat is very smooth, it is almost too grindy just to get to the point that you want to get with any of the characters. And you have to spend a lot of time either going multiplayer or going back through a whole heap of side missions just so you can grind those characters up, which to me just seemed like a waste of time for the amount of content that's already in this game. I'm sure after some DLC I'll probably change my mind, but until then it's just gotten stale very quickly. The story itself was a good story. I really liked the effort that they went into to kind of introduce some characters, but then it seemed in the later half of the game, they just introduced the other half of the team and just didn't really focus on them at all. So it went from being incredibly about Bruce and incredibly about Tony to glancing over the other characters and then just finishes the story all of a sudden, which I felt was a little bit sad because I enjoyed getting to know the new characters. And Carmilla in that was a fresh look, even though her humor's terrible. There's a lot of different types of missions, some stemming from fighting some side bosses that you see in the game only very briefly and then seemingly never again unless you do these side missions, to things like holding objectives, to defeating certain types of enemies on the map, or sometimes even just breaking certain components of aim equipment. And all of this is pretty fun, but gets pretty rinsed and repeated a lot throughout the game. While all the missions are wide and quite expansive, a lot of the areas are very similar, and when you go indoors they are even more limited and just reused skin copies of every place that you've visited in the game. And regardless of how cool it feels like to be an Avenger, to be flying around as Iron Man or Thor, or coming down as Black Widow, or doing anything as Captain America, it just didn't feel like a great game to me. It felt like a good game full of opportunity, but that's as far as it went. So from BK Gaming Reviews, I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. A lot to be worked on here. I'm hoping that they do make a few more games and they really expand on it, because for mindless fun, it is certainly enjoyable. If you enjoy that kind of thing, make sure you give it a go. But if not, let me know why. I'd be very interested to hear it. So thank you very much, guys, for listening to that review today. This would be fantastic. Got my new video content creator onto the editing for this one, so thank you very much for that as well. Cannot wait to talk to you guys soon enough. So this is Brett from Brett Killins signing out. And